Hello, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with the Therapist this lovely Tuesday morning. Today, I'm going to talk about a topic that was requested by somebody on TikTok, but also is incredibly relevant in some of the conversations that I have with many of my clients when they first start therapy. And it's about some of the things that often we don't talk about necessarily about the downsides of therapy or the ways that therapy can be really tough, because as we ask people to grow and change, we are also asking them to go into the grief process. And I know that may not make sense at first, but essentially many of my clients, I've seen this time and time again, where as they are growing and as they are developing their sense of self and as they are becoming healthier, the relationships that used to be meaningful and have roles and work for them, their friendships, their romantic relationships, even work environments that used to work for them, so to speak, no longer work for them as they get healthier. Because as they get healthier and as they learn even what the heck healthy means, sometimes they start to see where there are different people and relationships in their lives that are not healthy. And I definitely don't want people to go out there and go preaching their health or their growth on anybody. So I don't think that's kind of how the progression goes. But typically, as someone gets healthier, the roles they have with different people, the way they relate to them, shifts. And any shift, whether it's good or bad, can be really challenging and hard on a relationship. If you switch how you relate to somebody, it's going to throw them off guard. And for some friendships, the other person is able to really absorb that and grow with you, or at least respect your growth. And then for other relationships, they are not going to be very excited about your growth. And in fact, your growth will feel negative to them and draining and won't serve them the way that maybe how you were in the past did serve them. And so they may slowly not want to be in relationship with you either. It goes both ways, where when people go to therapy and they get healthier, either A, they are going to lose interest in some of their current unhealthy relationships, friendships, sometimes their romantic partner, if they're not willing to do the work or grow with them. Or the other person could actually also lose interest in you as you become healthy. And so I've also talked with people about how sometimes if we lose friendships, or if somebody, if they leave an intimate relationship with us, it's not always necessarily a reflection that something was wrong with us or that it's necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it could be this sign of growth, this sign of us becoming healthier. And, with that health, it may not have been something that our friends or intimate partner could really tolerate, could really sit with, because maybe they weren't ready to grow. Maybe they weren't ready to face some of their own things. And as we get healthier, it kind of puts more of the stuff that's theirs on them, right? Because we might develop healthy boundaries. We might not take on stuff that's theirs. We might not be reading between the lines. So if you had a pattern of trying to read between the lines because you had friendships and relationships where people didn't directly communicate how they felt, they could take it offensively when you're not reading between the lines, even though that's a healthy thing for you to be doing. Or as you're setting boundaries, as you are, directly communicating with people, they could also take that offensively or see you as the bad guy. Because again, maybe they don't want to face themselves, and maybe they don't want to face their inability to really respect other people's boundaries. I think at the end of the day, a lot of my clients, because they tend to be more people pleasers and they want everybody to like them, they have a hard time with integrity, and they have a hard time showing people some of the parts of them that they struggle with, or anything. They have a hard time speaking up for themselves if their opinion isn't seen positively by the other person, or they don't agree with their opinion. And so as they get healthier, and as they find their voice, and as they realize it's okay that I don't have to be perfect and I can let some of my struggle and my messy parts show, they start to realize that the people that stick around are the friends that really truly, love who they are, all of their different parts, the good and the bad. And they love them having a voice. And when we don't show other people who we are or let them know, even when our opinion, even when they don't agree with us, in essence, we won't really know if they are attached and love us, because really they're only attached and we feel a sense of belonging with the parts of us that we show people, not because we're actually showing them who we are. Hopefully you kind of connected those dots. So again, for them, sometimes as they show people who they are and they get more comfortable in their skin and they're able to advocate for themselves, not everybody is super happy about that. And that could also lead to relationship struggle or, eventually growing out of the relationship. So the reason I wanted to say this is because I realize that therapy and growth can be really tricky, because not only is it already a hard process, and an uncomfortable process maybe is a better word for it, but also I realize and recognize that we typically are asking our clients to grieve in some capacity, because they have to give up roles they used to have, they have to give up certain relationships and unhealthy things in their life to grow over time. And so asking clients to do therapy is asking them to grieve. And grief is typically one of the hardest emotions for us humans to sit with. It is very challenging, but it is also really part of the healing process that we learn to grieve and to develop a better relationship with grief itself, because inevitably, as we change and grow, we will be grieving certain things and even parts of ourselves and things we used to engage with that, we no longer do because we have a healthier mindset and we've grown in certain ways. So the downside of therapy is that we are asking people to grieve. But I think learning how to have a good relationship with grief is so incredibly important and part of our growth process as humans. Whether you do that growth in therapy or not, part of growing is learning to grieve what we are letting go, right? And sometimes that includes relationships. So I wanted to talk about that because often I do cover this with my clients. I kind of give them a heads up that relationships in their life might shift, or they may end up leaving certain relationships. And so that is something to be expected. It's typically part of the growth process, not for everybody, because sometimes their friends and loved ones do step up to the plate and grow themselves. Sometimes they end up even joining the therapy process, which as an MFT, I am all about. And it's kind of an exciting journey, but regardless, I do want to say it's worth it, because I guarantee you that I've seen my clients go from maybe some unhealthy, toxic relationships to having much healthier, satisfying and fulfilling relationships once they've been able to grow and give themselves grace and grief and time to just become what they're becoming. So I leave that hopefully as a message of hope, but also keeping it real about some of the hard stuff that we do go through as we grow and in therapy. And I hope you guys have a wonderful Tuesday. I will check in with you tomorrow.